different variations of 7th chord for the C chord. Do you know how to build all of them? Welcome to Chord Building, a series of videos in which I explain how to build chords and how to name them so that you never run out of variations to play and to have fun with. In the previous part, we discussed all major and minor chords in 2 different positions, and now this video is about 4 tone chords. Let's get started. In the last video, I said that chords were built on thirds, that were built on a 1, 3, 5 sequence of intervals, and that consisted of the main basis and fundamentals for chord building. Now what happens if we add a 4th tone to a chord? If we follow the same logic in the sequence of intervals, then the 4-tone sequence would be 1, 3, 5, and 7, hence the 7th chord name. In this category of 4-tone chords, there are a lot more variations because there's 1 extra tone. Let's see all the alternative 7th chord, how to play them and how to write them. The first combination is when we have a root note, a major 3rd, a perfect 5th, and a major 7th note. This chord will be called a major 7th chord and written maj 7. On the guitar neck, it's quite easy to find major 7th chord because we just have to pick the octave and go up 1 fret to find the major 7th note. For instance, if we pick the C chord and that plays like this, we'll see that there's 2 C's, and so if we use the highest one and replace it by a B note, we then have a C major 7 chord. Or on this A-shaped C chord, it's the same process. There's the octave, we just have to go up 1 fret and we'll find the major 7th note. Now, if instead of using a major 7th note, we use a minor 7th note, we have a sequence of intervals that are 1, 3, 5, and 7, and this is called a dominant chord, written simply 7. And so if we pick our C chord again and play a dominant C, then we have to simply go up 2 frets from the octave. Now if we keep this 7th note and play a minor 3rd instead of the major 3rd, we then have a minor 7th chord, written M7. If we play a minor chord with a major 7th note, it's a minor chord with a major 7th, and so it's simply written like it is. It's not the most important to remember. But then we have half diminished chords, which are chords that are used in the diatonic scales, so it's important to know how to build them. These half diminished chords are built with a root note, a minor 3rd, a diminished 5th, a flat 5, and a minor 7th. It sounds rather dissonant and will create tension that will need resolving. You might have guessed it, but if we have half diminished chords, we have diminished chords, which consist of a root note, a minor 3rd, a diminished 5th, and a diminished 7th note. And so the diminished 7th interval is the same as the major 6th interval. Now for the major 6th interval, it can be either a diminished 7 or a major 6. It is a diminished 7th when we use it in a diminished chord, which will create this diminished and dissonant chord like this. Technically speaking, if we name each tone of a diminished chord, the diminished 7th note of a C diminished 7 would be a B flat flat and not an A. In practice, it sounds pretty weird, so no one really writes it that way, but just for your notice. Now the major 6th is used to build major 6th or minor 6th chords, so either root note, major 3rd, perfect 5, and major 6th, or root note and minor 3rd, perfect 5th, and major 6th. Now, these are pretty rare chords, but you can encounter them from time to time, so it's good to know how they are built. 4-tone chords can also be slash chords. You may have encountered a C over an A, which is written C/A, which means that the bass note will not be the root note, but in this case, the sixth, being the A. Now, generally speaking, what's the purpose of a four-tone chord instead of simply playing simple chords? Simple chords are great, but they lack tension and emotion in a song, and that is what the four-tone chords will bring to songs. Seventh chords sound richer and more expressive and are used in jazz, blues, even pop songs. Now, I also mentioned tension and resolution in songs, and dominant seventh chords are really the perfect example for it. If we play a G7, for instance, that sounds like this, it feels like there's something more to it, that there's a need for another chord to fully fulfill this loop. For instance, we can play a C later on that will really resolve the tension created by the G7. Overall, four-tone chords have an extra note, and so it will smoothen the connection between other chords, bring more emotion, and help resolve tensions. Hear for yourself. If we play a classic C major, A minor, F major, and G major, but then if we play them as seventh chords, it sounds like this. And so that's it. You can play seventh chord anywhere on the neck with any chord. Play around a little and try to find as many seventh chords as you can. Remember that from the major and minor positions we saw in the previous video, you can guess and create seventh chord pretty easily and apply them to all the chords you know. You now have access to seventh chords, major chords and minor chords, so in the next part we will see all the remaining chords that exist, how to name them, so that you will always be able to create chords, name chords, and recognize them in your songs. Make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.